Hey guys, it's RodimusPrimal. I am back with another video, and today I am giving you guys my review for the War for Cybertron Earthrise Cliffjumper. And he is a deluxe class toy, but there is a lot of extra detailing to him, as you can see. Coming with the firearms, the artwork on the Earthrise packaging is a little different than the Siege, artwork, because it's about how the Ark crashes on Earth. And then there is this little interesting tidbit of Galvatron. If you guys saw my Galvatron video, you'll know that this was actually the box that I used, and I was prepared to do a toy review on him, and I am going to maybe I might even customize him, but we'll find out. We'll take him out of the package. So sit back, relax, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and let's transform and roll out. Consider supporting the channel on Patreon, becoming a channel member, or purchasing some merch on my Teespring store today. Okay, so as you can see, Cliffjumper here, he is a really awesome looking toy. I am very, very pleased with how he came out, and he has so much detail built into him. I understand a lot of people are saying, like, oh, he's a deluxe, he should only be, a legend scale figure, but he comes with a lot of pieces, and he comes with a lot of articulation as well. And if you get a good close look at his face sculpt there, you can see how much detail they put in to really make this a Cliffjumper face and not another repainted Bumblebee, as we've seen with so many other Cliffjumper toys. And I'm really, really glad that they did so. And he has a lot of articulation. Of course, he has articulation at the elbows and at the wrist, of course, that, can turn all the way around. The arms can turn all the way around as well. The head itself is on a ball joint, but because the head itself, is kind of like close to his neck, it can only kind of somewhat turn up and down, but you can turn it. It's very, very tight. So really, you only turn it where you need to make him look at whatever he needs to. He does have articulation with the legs. He can bend the knee. He does have ankle articulation, and that pretty much it. And of course, he has, peg holes for wherever he needs to hold a weapon or a gun. And the articulation on him is just really fantastic. I'm really pleased with how he turned out. And I think he's an awesome looking toy, a great update to the character. The only thing a lot of people are complaining about is the fact that he doesn't have an Autobot symbol on his chest. And for myself, being a kind of a G1 purist, that his arms are red instead of being like gray shoulders. I think it's gray wrists and black shoulders. I think that's how it's supposed to be. And because it all has to do with the fact that the transformation is done the way that it is, but the arms themselves are kind of like my only real complaint. I'm probably going to end up painting him to be a little bit more cartoon accurate as far as his arms are concerned. Now, he comes with a multitude of weapons. He does have this one piece here that's supposed to attach to his, underneath when he's in car mode. He has the back of the car. A lot of people don't like the idea of the fact that he is a parts former, and he has a peg here that fits in his back so that he has a backpack, and that kind of gives him the same feel of his, that kind of gives him the same feeling as his classics mold, where he had, the way that him and Bumblebee both transformed with the backpack of the car, but it does require the parts forming in order to do so. And it doesn't really bother me, because you end up getting a really good Cliffjumper toy. And then, of course, his blaster, which he can hold, either in one hand with just one of them, or they can combine to form the same blaster that he had in the More Than Meets the Eye pilot. And if you put the pieces together, you end up with his shoulder cannon here. And the whole idea behind this is I've got Megatron dead center in my viewfinder. And if you recall, Hound was with him when that whole incident took place where he fired on Megatron over a cliff. And this here is the classics a hound. I kind of was skeptical about getting the Siege one because I really think that this hound is a great toy. But I also found some other interesting ways that you can, customize this toy the way that you want to, at least as far as using his weapons are concerned. The one thing you could do is you can use this as a shield, as a blast shield if you wanted to. You could still, of course, hold the gun. And then you can try and find different ways to make everything work. One of the things that I decided to do was to take the blaster itself. Actually, no. Keep the actual sides of the pegs here on one on each. And then what you do, actually this will go the other way. Like so. Peg this on his back here. And what you end up with is you have Cliffjumper with a jetpack. And then what I decided to do was to take this part of the cannon, or the shield itself, and make this his blaster. So now he can launch into battle in a jetpack, and he can fire on Decepticons, with this, makeshift blaster out of all of his different parts. Some people I've seen do things where they still make this the backpack and it attaches in some way, and then doing it how I've seen other people do it. They've gone like this. And then what do you do? Right? You end up opening this up. I guess. And I guess you could attach it this way and kind of make it more of a full jetpack, but it doesn't quite look right the way that, some people wanted to do it that way. And that's why I use the backpack itself as a shielded blaster, and use the glass gas guns as his rocket pack, especially for the fact now that the Centaurian drone is going to be coming with, with the glass gas gun for Cliffjumper. You can kind of make it however you want to, for Cliffjumper in and of himself. Now, doing some quick comparisons with Cliffjumper, this is my original Cliffjumper toy. He has seen better days. Of course, I'm missing his feet, something that ended up happening to him over the years. But what I do have is a Cliffjumper keychain toy that is basically the G1 mold with a little bit of a cheaper plastic. But at least you can see here in comparison to his G1 toy as what he looked like back in the day. And, I do love this update for this reason, that they really want to capture this toy with, with the new one. Of course, the one thing that's missing, a lot of people are, making note of, is the fact that he doesn't have a spoiler, but that's something that you can overlook because this toy really is fantastic. Now, a lot of people were complaining the fact that he is a deluxe toy, and I wanted to kind of give everybody a show as to what he looks, how he stands next to, let's say, the Titan's Return and Takara Legends toys. Here is Cliffjumper next to Brawn and Bumblebee, and, he stands a little bit taller, believe it or not. But he does scale pretty well, especially when you take into account other Siege toys, like the one Autobot he does not trust no matter what, and that of course is Mirage. And he's always complaining to Optimus that we shouldn't trust Mirage, but that's, Cliffjumper's paranoia getting the better of him, and you can see how they scale all together really well. In might I add. And the one thing now is I want to see some of the rest of the 1984 mini-bots get released out of Earthrise. With that, let's start getting into transformation. Now, I wanted to just show you guys the transformation as it stands without the rest of the car. You know, there he is fully transformed without the final piece to him. And that, of course, is the back end section of the car that you do have to connect, and you have to parts form it, unfortunately. But getting it in there, you end up with a really nice looking car, very complete, might I add. And it is the very much based on the Porsche 924 Turbo, I believe that it is. And, you know, I'm not very familiar with cars in general, but when it's all connected together, it's a great looking car. I think it's a fantastic update. And instead of being that chibi penny racer styled car, you know, like his G1 counterpart, you can see how much of a difference there is to try and making it like a real car versus the penny racer that the original Cliffjumper toy was. And it looks good in you know, all around. The only thing I could probably say as a complaint is that the fists are underneath the bumper of the car, but that's just part of the parts forming that's, I wish was something that was a little bit better covered. But it's a great looking car overall. And one of the really neat things that you can do with his blaster is you can turn this whole thing into a and what you can literally do here is you can turn this into a sled for him so that he can use it to basically be hydrofoils for him. I believe it was Dinobot Island, either episode 1 or 2. I think it was episode 2, Dinobot Island 2, where Cliffjumper had his water sled, and he was on water, and that's pretty much one of the coolest ideas that they came out of with this toy, that it's an extra feature that you would never expect them to do, but it's something that they paid attention to detail to make Cliffjumper that much more special. Of course, comparing him with other vehicles, here he is with Classic's Hound, as the two of them rode to spy on the Decepticons. Here he is with the Autobot that he does not trust, and that, of course, is Mirage. Here he is with Brawn, and Classic's Bumblebee. Now, looking at this version of Cliffjumper, the more that I see this play with this toy, the more I want them to update Bumblebee to be a better interpretation, much like they did with this version of Cliffjumper. Overall, I would definitely say Cliffjumper is definitely recommended. I think he is a great update to the character. We finally have seen a Cliffjumper toy that matches the character much better than just being a standard old Bumblebee repaint. And we finally get a good Cliffjumper toy. There are some things that probably, could use a little bit of TLC, like I said, like the Autobot symbol or the color of his arms. But that's all a matter of personal preference, and it's a matter of what you want to do with your own toy. I think it's a great toy, but I want to know what you guys think. What do you think of Earthrise Cliffjumper? Of course, leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Be sure to thumbs up this video and subscribe, and check out my other videos as well. I've got more toy reviews, more Transformers discussions, and everything else coming down the pipeline. So stay tuned for all that. And as always, guys, until next time, till all are one.